Ishwaram, as resplendent sun. It's the start of a bright new day. Time to rise, time to shine, Lord divine. Time to lead us along life's way. Awake, Lord of Buddha party. Awake, O Lord, over all mankind. Awake, O Lord of compassion, that the world good fortune may find.
Sairam. Hear me good? Okay. We're going to start with an old-fashioned spiritual. If you know it, you can sing. It's called Real, Real. My Lord is real to me. Real, real, my Lord is real to me. Oh, yes, He gives me victory. So many people doubt Him. I can't live without Him. Ever since that wonderful day, my Lord is real to me. Hallelujah, He's real, real. My Lord is real to me. Sairam. We used to sing that a long time ago in our church in Brooklyn. And I never knew what those words meant until a day in '73 when we saw Sathya Sai Baba. I wrote some notes because usually I talk extemporaneously. And then what happens, I say, oh, I forgot to tell them this, and I forgot to tell them that. And Swami said, so this time I wrote them down. The first time we saw Swami was in the summer of '73. There weren't many people there then, and many of you who've heard me talk how we got there, some of you haven't, I'll share how we did get there. And we sat down, and Swami came through the gate, diminutive figure, bright, bright orange robe. And the only word that jumped out at me as he was walking towards us was joy. He moved with joy. He moved as if he controlled everything. And I was to find out that he did. He came by us and he walked, oh, we were dressed. I mean, we were dressed for church. We didn't know you were going to sit under a tree. We had come in our stockings and long skirts, and our stockings we tore up walking along the concrete. But we didn't wear hats because we saw nobody else had on hats. So we left the hats in the taxi. And then we didn't wear gloves because nobody else had on gloves, so we left those. But we came dressed to worship whom we thought was God. Now, how do we get to that point? The world is so small. I was just talking to Joyce and found out she knew friends that had gone with us to see Swami for the very first time. We were in a Search for God group, and people always say, how did you find Swami? How did you get to know him? We were very fortunate. When you're ready, the old saying is, when the student is ready, the master appears. It really is true. And like Swami says, we can wander around in the world and get caught up in all the things, but he'll be waiting for us at the end of the detour. And he is. So we were searching for God. I have a tendency to move, and this mic is stationary, so you're going to have to just put up with the voice coming and going. We were searching for God, And this was an ARE group. Edgar Casey is considered a prophet on the East Coast because he did so much to help, and he helped heal a lot of people in natural ways. So we had this group, and we studied his teachings like we do a study circle now. And as we're reading and we're praying, this is over a 3-year period, we began to feel that the presence of God has to be here now. The world cannot survive in the condition. This is back in 72. It was in bad condition then too. And the world cannot survive without God being here. And we had learned enough to know that he could be anywhere. He could be any country, and he could be in any form, any shape, form whatsoever. So we decided we'd find him. And how did we do that? We started meditating and praying and asking him to guide us to his feet. And we prayed to Jesus because that was the form that was familiar to us at the time. So we prayed, we meditated, we prayed, we meditated. And a couple of friends came back from Tibet, and they had this film, an old Dick Bach film of Swami. And they said, we saw this most wonderful man in India, and we want you to see this film and see what you think about it. So they showed us the film, and there was Swami. We hadn't met him yet, and he's walking along in a parade. You know, they're carrying an umbrella over him, and all these ladies are walking in front of him, and we're looking at this, and there's an elephant, and we're looking at this picture, and we're saying, no. I don't think so. But we were nice. We took a little of the vibhuti, maybe, and thank you, and that was it. When Swami's ready, it's your time. That Christmas, which was the very next month, this was in November, that Christmas, which was the very next month, Mary, a close friend, and I both gave each other the book, Sai Baba, Man of Miracles. She had bought hers at one store, I had bought mine at the other, and so you know that's a Sai setup. So we exchanged presents, we were surprised, we called each other, and we started reading. And as we read chapter by chapter by chapter, I don't think Howard Murphy knows how much good he's done mankind by writing that book, really, truly. Chapter by chapter, we'd call each other, we'd call the other members of our little Search for God group. By that time, we had 8 copies of the books going around, because there were 8 of us. And we were reading and saying, oh goodness, this is the one we're looking for. And we asked Eugene to bring that film back. Bring that film. One more time, let's look. So he did. And we saw Swami walking in a parade with the umbrella, majestically, his mother, his sisters, aunts walking. I said, this is not the same film. He says, there's only one. And I said, no, you showed us a different film before. It was the same film. We were different. And sure enough, we all went, our little Search for God group went, and as Swami, we picked up one more person in India, and the 9 of us went for darshan in our Sunday best, including my 2 children. We sat down under the pandal in Whitefield on a Thursday. Swami came out, and he looked at each one of us. We were in different places, and he smiled. And after darshan, we all said, he smiled at me. He looked at me, he smiled at me. And that was the beginning of something so wonderful that's grown to this point today. At that time, when we went to Whitefield, the ladies and gents sat in a row from the altar to the back wall. Line of ladies, line of gents, trees, flowers, monkeys, people. And we were maybe 1 or 2 rows deep. And Swami would walk on one side and the other side. And if he missed you, you could say, Swami. He would turn and come back. And then keep going. He inquired after each person that was there. Now, it's still beautiful. And I will still tell you, go, because it's only going to get more crowded as you wait. So if you have the opportunity and you're able to, go and see Swami. This retreat is so special. And I have had only one problem. I stayed up so late last night looking for the quote, duty, responsibility, meal ticket. And I could not find it in any book. So I figured you all must have made it up. But your bhajans are great. They're like our bhajans back home. Our center, the Brooklyn Center, we start out small. But Swami said, quality, I really will get to love all, serve all. I really will. Swami said, quality, not quantity. And we had no problem with that because we were in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. And if you are not carefully prepared, people walk in. And so that keeps the membership down. And we have always had just a few members. And by Swami's grace, he always would tell us every year, quality, not quantity. And then all of a sudden, in the past 3 years, our membership just quadrupled. It didn't matter where we were. These people were just looking for Swami. And now, if you don't get there early, you have to sit outside in the second room. But always, and whatever you do, quality, not quantity. So our little center came and we grew. And we also, like you on the West Coast, we started our retreats. And now they're just like this. In fact, we've outgrown our last space. But I want to tell you about love all, serve all, because that's what I came to do. Swami smiled at each of us. And in that smile, we knew that he knew every burden that each of us carried. The first time, if you think Swami doesn't know something, I always tell people, if you think he doesn't know something, you're only fooling yourself, because he knows everything. And when I saw this picture of him leaning like this, I have seen him do that at times. Think everything that's going on in the world. Every minute there's sunrise, sunset, constantly around the world. Every minute there's some Sai center doing good service, trying to heal the world. Every minute there's some human being in ignorance harming another human being. And when I look at that picture, it's like all of that he's taken in and he's feeling. And I thank the young artist for her rendering that portrait, because it summarizes to me Swami. Everything is his. There's nothing he doesn't know. The very first time we went to see Swami, he looked at me and he said, those children, you worry about them too much. I had my daughter, my godson, and my brother's 4 children. And he says, you pray for them morning, noon, and night. And then he said the magic words. He said, your children come through you, but they don't belong to you. They belong to me. They're my responsibility. What a burden was lifted off of my shoulders with just him saying those words. It made that entanglement. When we would get on the subway, I would make us all sit together for fear that somebody might take one that wasn't mine. You know, it was like we would sit like this. That kind of mother love, smother love, that Swami in his mercy just took it away. And 20 years later almost, when we went to see him last year, I just said my heart needs a refill. I didn't have to tell him. He just looked at me. I was at the back of the arch. Whenever you have something really to tell Swami, you get seats in the furthest row in existence, because he just wants to show you that he knows. One time when we were there, and it was birthday crowd, and I was saying, oh gosh, we won't even get in. 2 ladies, Mataji, you remember Mataji, she used to take care of the ladies' side. She came over and she said, only 2 more can come in. And there was this one lady and I, so she called us in. We were the last 2 on the line. And she shows me this little space, this big. I said, Mataji, I can't sit there. Let somebody else come in. So I went to back out, and so she says, no, you sit over there. Way back, behind the post, behind the arch, behind everything. I didn't even see my husband on the veranda looking for me. That's how far back I was. But when Swami really wants you, he'll see that you get there. Our little niece was up there, and she was terrified. She was sitting there looking. They're getting ready to go inside. And here I am, sitting back behind the post, behind the arch. And finally, one lady says, is that your husband up there looking for you? I said, let me see. Oh, yes. When he really wants you, he will send to get you. So never, ever, ever have that fear. But he knows what you feel in your heart, and he knows what you need in order to get past that burden. So this particular time last year, I needed a heart refill, just a refill of his light and love. And what did he do? Way in the back, behind the arches, behind everything, he just looked and he did like this. And my heart just filled with light and love, so much so that it spilled out of my eyes. And I was fine. He didn't have to call us in to do it. He didn't have to give Pad Namaskar, which I will take gladly. But at that time, he took care of everything. Every burden that you have, every trouble that you have, everything, he will take care if you let it go. Like Shankar used that example of the monkeys this morning, that was perfect, because that's how we hold on to our problems constantly, day after day after day, when he has promised. Jesus promised, I will bear your burden. Shirdi Sai, I will bear your burden. Swami, I will bear your burden. And still we're walking bowed down under our burdens. Put them at his lotus feet and let them go. He loves all, constantly. Swami says his life is his message, and every saying that he gives us, he follows himself. What greater example of love all, serve all than Swami? Not one person who comes to Baba is turned away for any reason whatsoever. We may not receive the physical comforts that we want because we're accustomed to so many different things, but we receive darshan, we receive his love, we receive his caring looks, and Pad Namaskar when we're lucky, and if it's needed. All of this he gives constantly, all the time. The first time when we went to put a party, and we had read in the book about guest house accommodations, and we went, looking for these guest house accommodations. Wrong. West 1 had just been completed. So we had West 1, which was a nice cement room, fine, nothing in it. And I was saying, when I went in, I said, instead of saying thank you, I said, oh my God, what am I going to do with the children? But there was a mirror on the door, an empty room with a mirror on the door. Now don't forget, this is the first time that we're putting on saris because we're from Brooklyn. And the first time we're doing things so different. And what would we need? We would need a mirror. And that was all that was in the room, by his grace. So there we were in our accommodations, not knowing what to expect. But we had received something that we wouldn't find out until later, that it wasn't automatic that you get a room. The sheds are interesting. So we found that out. But all who come receive darshan. All are fed, even during festival times. Love all, serve all. Through every scripture, you have examples. Christ washing the feet of the devotees. Krishna carrying Draupadi's slippers. There's one scene where she asks to go take the blessings of Bhima, or Krishna encourages her to go take Bhima's blessings for herself and her husband's. And the shoes, Swami describes the shoes that they wore at that time made a lot of noise, and she couldn't be seen going into the enemy, quote, enemy camp in the company of Krishna. So he says, take off your slippers. And she takes them off, and he wraps them up and carries them under his own arm. And they walk in, she takes Bhima's blessings, and then when she reveals herself, Bhishma's blessings, thanks, and when she reveals herself, then he realizes that Krishna was the one behind the whole thing. What greater love? Krishna again tending the horses for Arjuna, driving the chariot for him. Swami will do that for you if you let him. We, I think, are holding the reins ourselves, and we're saying, giddy up, giddy up, giddy up. And the horses are happy galloping because we've given them that freedom. Then when we try to say, whoa, 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 they don't want to stop. They're happy galloping freely. Turn the reins over to the charioteer within the heart. That's Swami. Love all, serve all. And he will apply that to you, because you are as much to him as anyone else. Once he spoke to an old lady on the darshan line. Nice little old lady. All she did was fuss at all of us around her. But she was very sweet. And we couldn't understand what she was saying anyway, so it didn't bother us a bit. And she would just, make us move. And Swami came by, and he just leaned over, and he spoke to her on darshan line. So afterwards, we were wondering, what did he say? What did he say? And one of the ladies said, oh, Swami was telling her, oh, she was such a bad lady for all the things she's doing. Everybody seems to know what Baba talks about, but they don't. So then later, another person came and said, Swami told her that she could stay at the ashram because she has no place else to go. He would see that she's fed and that she's sheltered. And she, in turn, was going to do some volunteer work. He hadn't asked her to, but on her own, she volunteered to do it. Swami takes care of our lives. Everything. Look at the abundance that you have. Here, God. But look at the abundance in your lives. And what are you doing in turn? Hopefully, the Sai Center people are involved with the service. They are serving all. Just like Swami. He offers us, the world offers us so much in the way of objects, possessions, jewels, cars, houses. If this made for true happiness, then everybody should be very happy here. And West Coast people, the way we think of you on the East Coast, you should be the happiest people in the whole world, because it seems to us that you will have everything out here. But it's not true. When Swami reaches out his hand to us and says, what do you want? We have ready answers of things, material things that we think we want, but are we happy? I saw one example of genuine happiness in Puttaparthi, and this was an old man, and he had this book, and he would open this book, and he would look at it, and look at it, and read it, and look at it, and he would smile. And I said to my husband, find out the name of that book. Because whatever it is, that's the solution to everything. And we tried so hard to find out the title of that book. I'll hold it and tell you later. What would it be that would make a person just look at it and smile? He would laugh at darshan line, which just would make me look over at him when I'm supposed to be waiting for Swami. And he would look at this book. So we tried to find out the title of the book. Happy are the women in the shed. They're elderly. Their space for living is 6 feet by 8 feet. They have very few possessions. And every now and then, Swami walks through, opens their trunks, and says, too many things. He, in turn, gives them saris. They, in turn, do volunteer work. They sing bhajans. It doesn't matter. They have reached a point where they found what Swami says, their love and service, because they serve us all by working in the kitchens, sweeping, making the beautiful rangolis, all of this, part of the love of Sai. They have learned to put up with all of the people coming to put a party. Shirdi Ma once said to us, I don't know if you remember Shirdi Ma, she's an elderly lady that used to live in Put a Party, and she once said to us, you people, you've made him a prisoner. Us? She said, yes, before he used to walk out all the time, every day, and just walk around. And now when he comes out, you people follow him everywhere. You've made him a prisoner. And I thought about that. You know, they have been accustomed to Swami walking freely among them, associating all the time. And here we start coming in droves. And Swami has to limit his area of walking. When we first sat and put a party, there was a little row of bricks in front of the mandir. The mandir was even a little bit different. Not every time you go is a good time. And I'm not saying the old times were the best, because some of our best interviews have been with new times. But this is how it was then. And what the future holds, only he knows. But there was a little row of bricks around the front of the mandir. And we could sit around the bricks. And they were 1 or 2 deep again. And Swami would come and he would walk around. If you wanted Pad Namaskar, you reached over the bricks and you touched his feet. If not, you just sat and said, you know, he would smile and keep going. One time Swami was walking down and Edith and I were sitting, and Swami stopped about right there, and he wasn't going to come any further. He turned around like he was going to go back. And we all went, oh, Swami! He turned around as if to say I was just teasing, and then made the circle around the bricks. Now, we're happy if he just walks in our direction or looks at us, gives us a glance. Go. Go while you can. If you're able to, go, because the crowd won't get any smaller. By his grace, it's getting larger and larger. And they tell me that this past Guru Purnima, there were so many people that they even broke the lines. You know how we walk in? When you get your numbers called, your line walks in. And they were saying that it was so crowded that the people broke the lines and ran in. Now, Swami had those walls built higher for 60th birthday because he knew the ladies were going to climb over them in order to get into the darshan area. So now if they're running in and breaking the lines, it may be only a matter of time. Go while you can. Take his darshan. And when you go, even if you're going to see your relatives, except if it's your mother or father, go see Swami first. And then take care of the rest of the family. Put him first. Then go see your relatives. And he told that to us once when some friends were coming to put a party. He said, you went first to see, and he told them where they went, and then you came to Swami. He said, next time, come to Swami first. So follow that. Go see him first, and then go wherever else you have to go. But the main thing is, if you can go, go. I'm a commercial for Put a Party sometimes. But you will know when you get there, and you'll say, why did I wait so long? Why did I wait so long to go? And when he wants you, he does call. But sometimes we push that call off. I really have to get a new car. I really have to pay off this. Those things will wait for you till you get home. They really will. Go see him while you can. And while you're sitting there, think of Swami. Don't worry, if I get row 1, I'm going to get an interview. If I get row 2, I don't know. Don't think like that, because wherever you are, if he wants you, he will come and get you. Michelle's mother and I were sitting back, maybe where you are. And Swami came around darshan. He parted the people. He just parted the people, walked to Michelle's mother, spoke to her, came back through the people, and went on giving darshan. So when he wants you, it doesn't matter where you are. He'll see that you get to his lotus feet. And the same thing in the world that we're in now. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And if you think you're doing something incorrect, put it at his feet and stop doing it. Let him take care of you. Give that to him. You have no idea of the desperation, the depth of feeling that drives people to Swami. And when you see people pushing and shoving at darshan line, it's only because they're so desperate to get near his lotus feet. When you're there, be tolerant of that. Don't you join in the pushing and shoving, but just know that he's drawn them to them out of his love, and that they're there just like you are for his love. And enjoy it. Hardened grown men will cry like babies at Swami's feet. And women who've gone through so much hardship and toil, they will too, because they're releasing their burdens at his feet. And he's the one to carry them, because he loves all and he serves all. There's no greater example of this than Swami's love for us. I always say he patches us up and sends us back out to the world. And what do we do when he does? Do we really try to put his teachings into practice? I want to give you some of his quotes. That's okay, I know what time it is. Live in Love. Volume 8 is one of my favorite books of Swami's. And in this one, Swami speaks live in love. The mind decides and shapes things according to the decision. It manipulates external objects until the desired achievement is concretized. When the decisions are good, good is the result. When they are bad, bad happens. When love is the lever that operates the mind, only good can result. This is why I always emphasize the role of love. Love is the foundation for all that you're going to do. Love all. Take your example from Swami, from Jesus, from Muhammad, who always got dust thrown on him by a lady. That's a story we tell the Balvikas children. Every day, Muhammad would be going to market, and this lady would gather up the dust from her house and throw it on his head. And one day he passed by and there was no dust. And the next day he passed by, there was no dust. And he went upstairs to find the old woman very, very sick. And then what did he do? In love, he tended her, sent for her medicine, and took care of her. And then she, in turn, was converted. So this is the kind of love that God bears us. No matter what happens, his love is there, his love is constant. Live in love. Love is life. Without loving or being loved, no being can exist on earth. And I have to stress to you how important love is between one another. Because even in New York, we have what we call hospital border babies. And these babies, the hospital just asks you to come in and hug them. Just come in and hold them. That's all. They're fed, they're sheltered, but that love is missing. Just nurturing is needed. Do that for each other. It's nice to have pets and things like that, but share your love with another human being. There's so much that you can do. There may be someone right within your center who has a need and is just not saying anything. Find out. See how you can help. There may be some child of a neighbor that you can send to school. Instead of buying a car for $50,000, buy one for $40,000 and use the difference to send the child to school. The $40,000 car runs just as well. So, I mean, think what little things can you do that would allow you to serve in love? Love sustains. Love strengthens. Love is the urge behind all adventures, all sacrifices. I have come to restore love among mankind, to cleanse it of narrowness and restrictive attitudes. That is the main task in the revival of Dharma. Do your actions show that you love all, including yourself? And once you say, Swami, I'm going to love everybody, don't say it if you don't mean it. Because once you say, Swami, I'm going to try to love everyone, he will do just like he does me. I said, Swami, I'm going to try to love everyone. And then I realized there was one group of people I really didn't love so much. And what did Swami do? Move them downstairs in their house as our neighbors. Okay, but now I know that they're very nice people. And I have trouble with some other types of lifestyles. And what does Swami do? Make them my neighbors on the airplane. It's like, don't say it if you don't mean it. Because if you do, he will let you get past all of that. But by his grace, now those things have been taken away. I won't have a negative feeling towards any people. I won't judge anyone because they're different from myself. I will just know that the Atma resides within them also. He loves, he cares, and if you really let him, he will take care of you. So much so, I have to share a little story of a girlfriend of ours. She was really very broke, and she had prayed to Swami, and she said to Swami, Swami, everybody was helping her a little bit. Swami, this is my last $20, and I have to buy groceries. And she went out and she bought her groceries, and she came back, and she called me on the phone, and she said, Anne, the most amazing thing happened. She says, you know, I had one $20 bill. I said, yes, I know. So she says, I went to the store, and when I came back and reached in my pocket for my keys, there was the $20 bill. So now she had a $20 bill plus change, by Swami's grace, enough to get her to the next step. When he says he will take care of you, please don't expect the gold Continental to drive up to the door. That's not how it's done. But he will see, if you need the car, he will see that something gets there. In our case, we needed a car, and our friends were buying a new car. So they jokingly said, you can have our old car. We said, fine, we'll take it. It was a 77 Toyota. And they said, well, it's only going to live another 3 months. So we nicknamed the car Shirdi Ma. We put a dot on her. And the car has been running for the past 3 years and 3 months. So it will last until Swami says, okay, now you may have another one. But trust him just like this. He says, love strengthens, love sustains. And I will tell you, as you do your service projects, if you do them with love, they will be so bountiful, maybe more bountiful than you planned. We do service on the Bowery. Each center in New York takes 1 week, and we all go and do service. And when we come, the people line up waiting for us. We're just giving out sandwiches and soup or juice and fruit, but they like the way that it's given. And they line up and wait, whereas when some groups come down to the Bowery, you see the people clustering all around them and reaching. But when the Sai people come and set up the little table and put the things on it, they line up. And they go one by one. And you say, good morning, how are you? How have you been? And just that, those few words, good morning, can make a difference to a person who doesn't have what you have. No one here has anything to complain about. Your prosperity is so great. That's your good karma. That's his grace to you. Contentment is the greatest wealth. The greatest wealth is contentment. And that's on a poster I saw walking on the path. And it's so true. Think of what you have. 3/4 of the world would like to be in your place. We were in the bus terminal coming home, and it was raining outside. We were coming home from a center meeting. It was raining outside, and in came this homeless man, and he started singing. He sang a song called Be Grateful. Just be grateful. God is good to you. Be grateful. There are many who would like to be in your shoes. And when he sang those words, I just stopped and I looked at him, because I was saying, is this Swami? Is he reminding us? But he is. Everyone is Swami. The reminders are constant. Every time you see a person without shelter and you're feeling discontent because you can't have something you want, no. Think of what you have. Think of what you can share. We always compare ourselves with people that have more when we should be happy with what we have and be content. We never compare ourselves with people who have less. Well, my sister has a small house, so I guess I'll get a smaller house. We don't do that. We always say they have a big house, we need a bigger house. Don't do that to yourselves. I remember Dr. Hislop gave us a lecture, and he said one of the greatest reasons for discontent is comparison. You're always comparing yourself with someone else. Well, she made her hair blonde, so I'm going to make mine red. Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. Be content with what you have. This young girl in Put a Party, I had a girlfriend who went to Put a Party, and she must have had 30 saris for a 3-week stay. And I says, are you giving some of them away? Oh, no, I have to change morning and evening. Fine. We were sitting and waiting and talking to some friends in South Prashanti, and there was a young lady who was washing her sari in a bucket, and she was hanging it up on the banister, singing a bhajan. So she happily washed her sari and she hung it up, and she wore it the next day. The next day, she wore the one that she had on the day before. And I said to my girlfriend, you know, if you plan to give away some of your saris, she might want one. She did. She walked over eventually, and with a translator, asked the girl, I'm leaving, would you like some saris? The girl said, no, Swami gave me these 2. He'll give me another one for birthday. 30 saris compared to 2. That's our situation. And here in this land of bounty and plenty, where we come to get more, don't fall into that trap. Don't let your ego subtly whisper to you, I have to have more. I have to get this. I have to get that. Instead, put it on hold. And how do you do that? I do it through bhajan. And sometimes I use my spirituals as bhajans. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. The card is for the mosquitoes. They love us sweet people. You should see in Whitefield, they love us the best. They bite us like this. So what we do is usually when we're feeling a little discontent, we start singing a song. Amen. 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 Once again now. Amen. 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 Go to party, Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. With your heart now, Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Faster, Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Sai. Who do we love, Sai? Who do we love, Sai? Who do we love? How he loves us, Sai Ram. How do that with any song that you know. Any song that's in your tradition. You can do it with Havenu Shalom Aleichem. Only you substitute Sairams. You can do it with any bhajan that you like. You can change the words to English. But the thing is, you see how you feel now? You feel more revived, more upbeat. You're listening again. Do this daily. Anytime you feel that you're getting dispirited, the world is weighing heavy, sing to Swami. Give him the burden. Put it at his lotus feet. Let him carry it as he's promised to do. Swami knows everything. He knows all about you. One time, he let me know everything. We were coming out of the interview room. I was the last person out. And I just looked at him with such love. He was looking at us with such love, such grace. And I'm standing like this. And Swami just put his hands over mine. And for a moment, I knew everything in creation. I knew everything. I mean, everything, everybody, every star, every bug, everything. And I said, oh, God, I can't wait to get outside and tell people everything. I'm going to tell them everything I know. I stepped over the threshold to go out the door. I knew nothing. I didn't even know where the ladies' side was. They had to point me. The boys sitting there, they just, Madam. Don't you think Swami laughed at that too? Of course he did. But the experience stayed. And it just let me know who and what he is. And I would pray in some way, shape, or form, like as you do your meditation, as you do your namasmarana, the same thing will happen to you. He'll give you gifts too. I mean, just as when we eat too much, we expand. Oh, but somebody just told me today, I won't show you who she is, but she told me today that she read in a very good book that as your aura expands, so do you. I'll buy that. But I don't think Swami will buy it. Swami said to me last February, he looked at me and he said, too heavy. Weight control. Then he looks over at my husband and he says, she's too heavy. And my husband goes, so I had to lose some weight. And I won't eat from now till November, because that's when we go again. I'll see if it works. But he knows, and he teases, he plays. Sometimes the play to us seems a little rough. And I always use the example where Swami is holding us in his hands like this because he loves us so. And you know how when you have a treasured jewel and you go, and you look at your jewel, and it's so beautiful, and then you get like a child and you go, and that's where we are. And he says that he washes us. He says sometimes, I do you like laundry. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and then I hang you out to dry. And he does. I wrote him a letter. I'm getting off my speech. I wrote him a letter, and I was saying, Swami, things are a little difficult now. We can use any help that you choose to send us. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I really should just put down, love you, need you, send money. But I was only able to get away with that in school, so I figured I'll go around the bush and send Swami the letter. Write to Swami. He knows. He already knows. But the thing is, like Shankar was saying this morning, it helps us to focus. So that way we know what to focus our energy on. So I write him this nice letter, and I mail it, and I figure, 7 days. He'll have it in 7 days, and within 7 days, I'll wait for the bounty. So Thursday was the 7th day, and that night Swami comes in my dream, and he has the letter. Your dreams are real of Swami. He has the letter in his hand, and he's walking in a robe that's the color of freshly kneaded dough. Very pretty color, plain color. And he's walking along, and he comes past me, and I'm standing there anxiously with the many others, and he looks at me, and he takes out my letter, and he goes, crumple, 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 crumple. And he stuffs the letter in his pocket. And he looks at me real close, and he says, you know I have to roll and press you like bread. I woke up. I told my husband, Swami says he has to roll and press us like bread. He says, well, I guess it's going to be pretty hard for a little while. But he does answer. If you ask in love, you'll get an answer in love. And there have been times, one other dream I'll share, because usually your dreams are personal and you don't share them, but to show you the faith that he asks and the faith he instills. He was about where you are in the green blouse. And I'm here, and there's a cliff drop right there. I'm on the edge of a cliff, and I guess that's how my life was at that moment. And he held his hand out like this. And I look at Swami in the dream, and I look down at the water, and I look at Swami, you know, and I'm saying, please come a little closer, you know, I can't reach your hand. And Swami does like this. That first step had to be made on full faith. That is the one step where he takes the 100. So in the dream, by his grace, I had the ability to step on the air, and then he took my hand, and we went over the waves of water on to wherever the journey of life will take me. But the thing is, situations in your life will be like that, where you have to take that step on faith. Swami loves you. He loves you. He does everything he can to serve you, if you let him. And if you take that step on faith, put your hand in his hand. When they wrote that song, Put Your Hand in the Hand, they didn't write it for no reason. There was a heartfelt reason. But if you take his hand, he will guide you over every difficulty that you have to go through. Now, some karma has to be suffered. Yes, but look what we've done in order to earn it. In the past, you don't know what you've done. He does. And by his grace, he says, like medicine that's worn out, he cancels the date, or the seeds that are buried too deep to sprout. He takes care of our karma in that manner. Thanks. This is his blessing to us. Trust him to do it for you, because he will. One time, my husband and I were coming home, and this guy just ran up and grabbed his wallet. And my husband took out right after him, and running, chasing him through the projects, and he got his wallet back. I said, you know, he said, I was saying Sairam. I said, but still, but the wallet had to go, because another couple of weeks later, he was carrying groceries, and somebody grabbed the wallet, so he couldn't take out after them. Swami knew, but that time the wallet was empty. Karma met with grace, and that is what you have knowing Swami at this time. You will meet your karma. We have to. That's why we've taken birth in body. But the karma will be met with grace, and you'll be happy. You'll have your little book, and you'll be opening it and looking at it, and you'll be smiling, and people will say, what are they reading? Anything. The other day, one of our favorite entertainers was singing on television, and she was singing, you're the best, better than anyone, better than anything, you're all I need. And my husband and I looked at Swami's picture, and at the same time we both said, he is. She might not have been singing about Swami, but he is. When you look at these pictures and you see the love and compassion, he is the best. He's better than anything. There's nothing that's better than loving God. You're doing your service elevates you to that level. Love him. Let him love you back. and all forms of music. In the airport, somebody was singing, "You're my hero." And I said, yes, he is. It's true. Anything that you hear, you can relate to him. Even the children's rap songs. And I'll even show you one. Some of you have heard it already. But my kids, they were going through the phase. And I said, they said, "Oh, here's something you really won't like." Because I made the mistake of telling them, don't tell children anything, but God is love. I made the mistake of telling them, there's nothing that happens in life that with God's help you can't meet and overcome. And He'll help you to like a situation or to grow past it. And they said, "Well, here's something that you don't like. How would you get past this?" So they played me some rap music. And I said, "Okay, here we go. Down by the river Chitravati is a little bitty town called Puttaparthi. There lives a guy who's out of sight. Teaches you to live a life that's right. And he is the head guy. His name is Sri Sathya Sai. Yes, he is. The head guy." So they said, "Well, rap has more than one verse." There are 5 verses. But that's all. The only other one I'll tell you is Satya Dharma Shan. No, truth, right action, love, and peace. Life can be free if you follow these. And because he is the head guy. And it goes on like that. And I said, for years, I said, "Oh, no, I won't tell anybody that. I won't tell anybody." But now as my Balvika's kids are getting older, and they have to listen to this, I said, put your own words to anything. Just make up your own words. And put Swami's name there. Just like we're going to do with a spiritual, you know. You know, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. I'm just going to pitch it a little higher. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Om Shri Sai Ram, 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 Om Shri Sai Ram. So do that. Do it with everything. And the kids will say, "You have a song for everything." And they don't realize it's just Baba's name they're singing over and over. And we don't realize that just the world is teasing us over and over and over. We just let it continue to do so, and we roll along happily saying, "Oh, you know, I have such troubles, I have such problems." They're the same ones, over and over and over. Either the children are upsetting us, over and over and over. The bills are due, over and over and over. But how did we get them? How did the bills come? Did they float from the ethers? Or we went out and got them and brought them in? It's like when you bring a pet tiger into the house. "Oh, it's small. It won't do anything." "Oh, it's bigger. It's tearing up the furniture." "Oh, it ate Grandpa." Watch it. Watch it. Because Grandpa could be your wallet. Be careful. How many possessions do you need? How many cars? All right, you may need 2 cars. You may need 3 if you have a teenager. But how many expensive cars do you need? How many dresses can you wear at one time? Unless you're like a lady who's borrowing them from a store. I mean, how many jewels can you wear at one time? Are they going to sit in the safe deposit and make it look pretty? Or can that money be used to send someone to school or for your children's education rather than your friend's envy? How much do you really need? When you go to put a party, Swami again, in his love all, serve all, shows us what you really need. What do you get in Putta Party? Food, shelter. Oh, Hema says a floor and a door. I like that. And when you come back and you're happy there and Putta Party on the floor because Swami's there. He'll come back with you in your heart. One year, one time, we went and Swami said, "What do you want?" And for once, one time, one year, we didn't have to ask him. He had really taken care of everything. And we said, "Swami, there's nothing we want." And he says, "Then take me." That was the greatest gift. All these years we could have had him. And we were asking for things. And we did. And since that time, our lives have been really different. Because we say, if we're in Putta Party, what do we have? We have minimum things. We feel that we're not staying there, that we're just visiting. So our acquisitions are minimal. You're not staying here either, folks. Who's going to take the house with them when they go? Or the car? The jewels? What are you going to take with you? Your good name, your character. And don't be one of those people that when they go to say goodbye to you, they'll say, "Oh, goodbye." Be one that they'll say, "Oh my, I'm sorry to see them go, but I know where they're going because you've lived a good life." My auntie passed, I believe it's 88. This lady, through her whole life. Now, my mom passed, I'm 6 years old, my mom passed. My brother's 4, my sister is 1 month old. My auntie was scheduled to get married within 6 months, but her sister had passed, leaving her 3 children. She didn't marry. She raised us. From that age up until she couldn't anymore. A good person, and you would say, took us to church every Sunday, Sunday school, even when we didn't want to go. She took us. But this is the kind of love she had, to see that we had a good, proper upbringing. So her time now is coming near. She's bedridden. She's been bedridden for 10 years. And you would say, why would she, have to go through all this here? She's given up her life. She's raised these children. We had gone to stay in India, so we thought, and I'll have to come back to that story. And Swami sent us back home. And here I'm taking care of my aunt and helping to take care of her in the last year of her life. The day that she passes, as I was telling Richard, I was right there with her. The karma of someone else raising you, giving up and sacrificing their life to raise you, is heavy. And only Swami can see that it's properly paid in the same lifetime. I was right beside her as she passed. I was able to tell her thank you. I was able to tell her I love you. I was able to read the 23rd Psalm with her because it was her favorite. We were able to talk about Jesus and his love, our old minister, and thank her again and tell her how much I loved her. She took 2 breaths and she was gone. Back to Swami. That was his grace to her and to me. Her death was beautiful, quiet, calm. I was able to pay back part of my debt by being there at the time she passed. I have heard of deaths that have been terrible and traumatic, but when she passed, after she closed her eyes, took her last breath, I just said, Sairam. And when I cried, it was only because she had given so much of her life to us, not because of sadness, but because she had given so much of her life to us. Live your lives so that you can go like that. I would pray that all of us could. The priest in the mandir, where we sometimes used to go for bhajan, he was doing his morning puja. He finished the puja, knelt down to touch the deity's feet, passed, just like that. What greater death can you ask? This is how Swami says we should be. We should live so that we can have a good death. not die daily in order to live, but live in this manner. And with examples like this around us, constantly, and with Swami's love constantly, love all, serve all. This is what he tells us to do. He tells us help ever, hurt never, and then we go and compare ourselves and try to buy the better thing. And we don't have to. It's our egos getting us caught up in these trips. If your ego can't get you through pride, Richard and I were just talking about this earlier, it will get you through depression. The main thing is that it has a hold on you, and it's been built up over lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and it says, this is a good thing, I'm not letting go. And it will sit there and sit there and sit there until you finally turn to Swami. And your ego can be very subtle. It can catch you in ways you didn't even know. That's why you have to surrender to the Lord's feet. Constantly, always, even when you're doing service. And he says for all of us within the organization, office bearers, everybody, we have to stoop to serve. And there's a reason, because only this will help the love to come up so that we can serve freely and without ego. But your egos will trap you if you let them. Don't. Turn every action over to Swami. Everything that you do, is this going to bind me closer to the world, or is this going to free me or send me towards God? We have to live in the world. We have to do our duty. We have to have acquisitions. We have to have certain things. We have to take care of our children, see that they're educated. We have to have houses to live in. There are things we have to do, but we don't have to go overboard so that we're worried at night, how is this going to get paid? Don't do that to yourself. Love yourself and serve yourself too. Don't acquire so much that you're going to have to worry how it's going to be met. Trust Swami. If he says small house, have small house. If he says no house, you have friends. Okay. We went to stay with Swami, and some of you know the story, some of the old timers. We went to stay with Swami, and we were going to, we had gone to live. I'd forgotten about my dear sweet auntie and my family. We were going to stay with Swami. And what did Swami do? After we got there, we were there 2 months and 10 days, I'll never forget. He sent us back home. We had given up everything. Gave up the apartment, all the furniture, everything, gone. Even my Swami pictures I gave away. And we go, and we sit at his feet, and the first thing he says to my husband is, when are you leaving? We just came to stay. And we came to stay, of course, you know, after checking with him the year before. But Swami's Leelas are such that he had allowed us to get rid of everything. Nobody had to take it from us. We gave it away willingly because we were happily going to sit at his lotus feet. And then what did he do? Okay, you're over that step. Now go back. So he sent us back home. We didn't even have a dishcloth. So we had to acquire everything again. And I was sitting in the house, I was back in the Brooklyn house, and I was saying, I gave away all my pictures. I don't have a Swami picture, except for the ones we were bringing with us. And then when I opened my closet, there was an old envelope that I had bought back in '74, filled with old Swami pictures that you can't get anymore. That was his grace again. Karma met with grace. And that is how each of you are. You are each as precious to him as each of your children are to you. Sometimes our children aren't precious, but to him, he's a loving mom. And he loves us no matter what we do. And I always tell people that no matter what has gone on in the past, let it go. Because once you touch Swami's feet, or once he even looks at you, he's taken away all of that. All of that is gone. You're just in his care. Stay there. Do what he says. Follow his teachings. If you're going to do service, do it happily. And do it with happy, joyful bhajans. Do Harashiva Shankara as you're cutting up vegetables, or come, let us chant the name of Sathya Sai Baba, you know, fast, nice, happy songs. There's one song that my girlfriend sings that I sent to Shishila, and she sings the bhajan, "Oh Sai, oh Narayana, oh my sweet Lord, due to some good karma, Sai, I have come to thee." And it's a nice, sweet, slow bhajan. And when she used to sing it, it was just so beautiful and uplifting. Then they went to see Swami. And now when she sings it, it brings tears to your eyes. Same bhajan, added quality. Same for you. No matter what you're doing, you'll do it better with him. Take him with you in your bhajan, in your service, in your meetings, especially in your Sai meetings, offices meetings especially. Take him with you, because sometimes you forget who you're serving. We're not serving individuals. We're individuals, we have our differences, but there's only one Swami. There's only one Sai. Love him and serve him, because this is how he would have us do it. So there's this man in Puttaparthi, and he's reading this book. And he's looking at the book, and he's saying, "Oh, my, you know, this is a good book." He's not saying that, we're saying it. And he opens the book, and he's just looking at it like this. And he's reading it, and he's looking at it, and he's smiling. And I say to my husband, he's happy. He's so happy. So I saw the man in the canteen, and we had gone in the men's canteen. And I said, "Oh, he's over there." And I went to go over to ask him. I had a friend who could translate, and we'll go over and ask him about what the title of the book is. And the man disappeared. I don't know if he was behind someone or something. So we still hadn't found out the name of this book. And we're still trying, what is it, this book, that is making this man so happy? And we're still looking and still trying to find out. Maybe I'll tell you. Swami is the same with us. We are always looking at him and trying to follow him around and find out what is he going to do next, and when is he leaving? Have you heard any rumors? If he wants you to know, you'll find out. Once we were sitting in Whitefield, and we were saying, the rumor was Swami is going, but the day wasn't pinpointed. And I happened to see Dr. Hislop on the road, and I jumped out of the taxi, and I said, "Dr. Hislop, is it true Swami's leaving?" He says, "Oh, yes." I said, "When?" He says, "Oh, I don't know." Because he won't tell unless Swami says he can tell. So we were sitting darshan in the afternoon, and this lady comes walking, in the morning rather, and we used to call her Sita Ma, comes walking over, and she says, "Anne, do you have your taxi?" So I says, "Yes." So she says, "I need a ride for 2 o'clock this afternoon." I says, "We'll pick you up at the gate." Now we knew. And we were able to follow him back to Puttaparthi. So if it's to be, he'll take care of it. You'll know some way, somehow. And if it's not to be, that's okay too, because he will take care of that. Trust him. Trust him with your very lives. Love him and trust him. What else does Baba tell us about life? He tells us simple things. Help ever, hurt never. Love all, serve all. Be happy. Be happy. You have so much. You see, we do service in an area in the city, and when I hear other people that have so much discontent, I find it hard to believe. And he says, what does he tell us? Every time you go, he says, be happy, be happy. It's so simple that we can't do it. Just be happy. If you see a baby child, a baby is happy. A baby will smile at everyone. My little niece, when we were taking care of her and walking down the street, she would smile at everybody, drunk or sober. It didn't matter. And people would walk along with her in the stroller. We might not have invited them to walk along, but she did, because she's a child. They only see love. They only see joy until you teach them different. No child is born prejudiced. None. Not one is born knowing caste difference. None. It's only when we teach them differences that they begin to listen and implement them in their lives. Don't spoil Swami's products like that. He sent you in nice and innocent too. Get back to that state. When we're around Swami, we laugh and we joke and we're joyous. Once we saw Swami, that particular day he felt like playing with all of us. And he'd say, "What do you want?" And then he'd answer before you could say anything. And "What do you want?" And he said, "What do you want?" And I always ask for freedom. The very first time Swami asked me, "What do you want?" I said, "Freedom." But I said, people told me, when a holy man asks what you want, ask for nothing less than liberation. And since we were going to India, they said it's mukti or moksha. Got it. So Swami, we're sitting in front of Swami, the kids and I, and he says, "What do you want?" And I said, "Mukti." And Swami laughed. He waved his hand, and I'm waiting. He waved his hand, he made us lockets. Fine. Then he looks again, he says, "What do you want?" And I says, "Moksha." I didn't get it right the first time, moksha. So he laughed, he waved his hand, and he made us vibhuti, peanut butter flavor, so the kids would eat it. He knows. He knows. Haven't had it since. I've had flour flavor, but not peanut butter flavor. But that was to get the kids to eat it. And they were saying, "Powdered peanuts," you know. That was fine as long as they ate it. And then he looks at me again, he says, "What do you want?" And I figured, well, I'm not pronouncing it right. And mukti moksha. So I said, "Freedom, Swami. Baba. Freedom, Baba. Freedom." He says, "Oh, come back tomorrow, 9 o'clock. We did. We did. And that time I got to sing for him. I used to have stage fright long ago. And I would get up to give a talk, because in school, you know, you have to give talks, and I used to have stage fright. And even when I was a grown-up and had to speak at church and things, I would have stage fright. And then we're sitting at Swami's feet, maybe 12 of us, ladies, 6 or 7 ladies, and gents on the other side, I think 14. And Swami says, "Sing." He says, "Do you know any bhajans or songs?" And I said, "Yes." And I sang Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. My girlfriend had schooled me on this bhajan before we left. It was the only one she knew, so she taught me. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. And I sang that for Swami. And then he looks at me and he says, "Do you know any English songs?" So my daughter and I sang 2 church songs. But after that, I found I didn't have stage fright. I could sing, I could speak, I could just be, because what I do is always go back to that moment. All of us have had special moments with Swami. When you get tired, tell me to stop, okay? Just talk. Because once I start talking about him and get off my, it'll go on. When you have special moments with Swami, which he has given to everyone here is here because they've had some kind of special moment where you knew you were special to him. And you are. You really are. And the thing is, you would have more special moments if you didn't clutter your mind with so many things. Now, I'm not talking about work, because work is worship. But worry. Worry is unnecessary clutter. And there's an old phrase, "Why worry when you can pray?" All right? So he said to a girlfriend of mine, she says, "Swami, I don't dream of you anymore." He says, "I come in your dreams every night, but you're so busy." Don't let it happen to you. Leave him space. Give him some time. He gives you the whole day. Out of 24 hours, okay, you have to eat, you have to work, you have to travel to and from. You can do namasmarana while you're traveling to and from work. There are things you have to do, but give him at least, start out with 5 minutes. It'll expand to 10. And pretty soon you'll find that you're keeping him in your thoughts throughout the day. And you'll even ask his help as different things come up in your life. a man came into the Social Security office where I used to work, and he had 2 bricks in his hand. And he went and he took out our windows. He just went along the side and took out the windows. And my staff said, "Weren't you afraid?" And I said, "No, because I know who my defender is." And the man, that was all he did. He just wanted to be proved that he wasn't well so he could get his disability. He got it. But the thing is, these kinds of situations will come up in your life. Some may be even more threatening. Like I always tell the man was on the train and going into the subway, and this guy, I live in Brooklyn, he grabs me by the neck and he says, "Do you have any money?" And I says, tokens then with 35 cents. I said, "I have $1 in my pocket and a token." So I took it out and I says, "Do you want it?" He's holding me by the neck, and the knife he had was this long. And I wasn't afraid. I took out the $1.05 and he says, "Oh, you have no money. Go." You know, I put my $1 back in my pocket and got on the train. But that night, I cried because I didn't say Sairam. That was why I cried. Not because I was happy Swami saved me, but I had forgotten to say Sairam. But he didn't forget. He didn't forget me. He remembered. But when I was so frightened, when Swami had us an interview and he was going around the room telling what everybody did wrong, and he was dredging up these past sins, and he was saying such and such, and so, and such, and so, and he pointed to me, and I said, "Please, please, Swami, please, 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 please." So he skipped over me and said, "Such and such." Now that was terror. That was fear. And maybe in comparison to the things that go on today, it wasn't really that, but each of us has our own measure, our own standard of judgment, and that removed terror. And if you let him, he'll take everything away. Fear of death. I used to worry about dying because I'd say, what will happen to the children? And I think all parents fear that. And then once he came, and one thing he tells you never to do is don't get caught up in the psychic. And then he tells you this, and then he does something so that you will, all right? But it's part of your growth. Your spiritual growth, just like you eat, you gain weight. The same thing, if you do your spiritual sadhana, siddhis actually come. Your job is not to get caught up in them because you're heading for the main goal. Don't let your ego catch you in these things. Okay? So I have this particular talisman. If I sit and I thought I'm meditating on Swami, and I'm getting everybody's information, input, unasked for. Think of a person like a data sheet. And I says, "Oh no, I don't want this. I don't need to be caught up in this. How do I get past it?" So I figure I'll go back to Swami. I don't need to be clairvoyant. I have enough things doing. So I go back to, I said, I'll go and just ask Swami to take this away because it's going to be a distraction. Now, my girlfriend was saying, "Oh, it's good to be clairvoyant, because and I said, "No, not for me. For some people, yes, but for me, it'll be a distraction." And I was going to ask Swami to please take it back because my only goal now was him. And when I prayed that way, that gap closed. And it was, now I'm just regular, like everybody else. But the thing is, he says, don't get caught up in the psychic. And then I discovered astral travel. All right? Don't get caught up in these things. They're as natural as the growth of your body from childhood to adult. And I said, I only want to go to put a party. I only want to see my Swami. So I end up in this place. I don't tell people this one. And I'm going to wipe it off the tapes, too. And I'm in, or I'll have him do it. Somebody did that. They came in to take pictures in the interview room. We said, no, don't take pictures unless Swami gives permission. And when he got outside, the film in his camera was shredded. So don't do it. This one's coming off. So we went, now in another space, another place, and I'm standing like this, and I said, I only want to see Sathya Sai Baba. I only want my Swami. And there over there he is, but as a light, just a beautiful plain light. And then he outlines himself in light, so I'll know who it is. And I run over to him because there are other entities there too. And I run over to him, and he just takes me and brings me back. And he stands, and so now he's looking a little stern. So I closed my eyes, but I could see him just as well. And he says, don't ever do that again. So I said, okay. That was it. Another venture into the psyche finished. Because he loves us so much, he'll protect us from incorrect paths. And things that will distract you from him, he will remove if you let him. But if you want to get caught up in them, he will allow you to do that too. Because we're like children. For us, this world, for our souls, is like children in a department store, a toy store. And we're running hither, thither after everything when Mom is waiting right outside the door to give us everything that we really need. And he says, I will wait for you at the end of the detour. But don't get caught in the detour and leave and have to come back again, because you might not get the same slice of karma. It's your good karma that allows you to know Swami at this time. To know him, to be able to see him, to touch his lotus feet, that is your good karma. Don't say, in the future I'm going to come back and do such and such and so, because there may be slices of karma waiting for you that you don't know anything about. Surrender it all to his feet so that you won't have to go through it. Ask him to help you over it this time. And like Shankar was saying, which I had to laugh because it's so true, if you ask that this is your last lifetime, then everything rushes in at you. There was this one young man and put a party, and he was just weeping. I've traveled so far, I've spent so much, I've come, why isn't he seeing me? Why? And Dr. Hislop answered him nicely and said, you're here because Swami loves you. And you know, if you think about it, it's true. And the closer the waves get to the shore, the rougher the water. Well, we may be up in, we used to call it turbulence in the air, and now they say rough air. So rough shore, rough water, that's what you're going through now. But it's okay, because it means you're near the end of the journey. Put up with it, but you don't have to bear it by yourself. He's there to help you, and he's there to carry you through every single step of the way. Mrs. Cowan used to say that Swami is a loving God. She said, he's such a loving God. And believe me, he is. Greater love you won't find anywhere. And when you've reached that point where you feel you can't carry on, you just can't perk yourself up, you can't do anything, then you pick up Prema Vahini and turn to page 9 and you read the prayer. And the prayer says, the blemishes of the heart have to be washed by moral life and the doing of one's duty. A time may come when man becomes tired and weak, but he should then pray thus, Lord, things have gone beyond my capacity. I feel further effort is too great a strain. Give me strength, O Lord. And he will. He's promised. This is the prayer that he's asked you to pray. Give me strength, O Lord. Take him at his word and pray those very, very words. I'm finally going to let you go, believe it or not. We're going to do, there's one song that says, I kept it here, it's in your songbook. Know that the Lord is sweetness itself. Everything is a sign of his grace. And we're going to close with that song because I want you to think of it. Know that the Lord is sweetness itself. Everything is a sign of his grace. Know that the Lord is sweetness itself. Everything is a sign of His grace. He is the nearest, He is the dearest, born in the world as Sri Sathya Sai. Hold on to Him as close as you can, loving Him as an intimate friend, knowing Him as an intimate friend. So the man now has his book, and he's looking in the book, and he's smiling. So I said, so my husband comes into the room, and he says, you know that book that you wanted, that man has? I said, yes, you finally got the name? He says, it's an old notebook, and in it, he's pasted one picture of Swami's feet. Sairam. Okay, you have a few minutes for questions. Do you have a question? Then I have it. Tomorrow, okay? Sairam.